No. You can.
Okay.
It's your style.
We will now call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Thank you for being here. Let's go ahead. And Ms. Perry, if you can call the roll.
Mayor Stephanie Dalton.
Here.
Vice Mayor Holly Berry.
Here.
Commissioner Jamie Fairbanks Harvey.
Here.
Commissioner Terry Holmes.
Here.
Commissioner Hayes Wilkinson.
I'm here.
Thank you. For today's invocation, please join me in a moment of silence to reverently collect our thoughts, pray, and ready ourselves for this meeting and the duties to which we have been called. Okay, thank you. We'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Granum, will you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, we have consideration of the minutes for approval or correction. Do we have any corrections for the December 17th, 2024 work session meeting? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Motion by Vice Mayor Berry. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
You got it.
Second by Commissioner Fairbanks
I'll second
Harvey.
the next one.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any corrections for the December 17th, 2024 commission meeting? No. Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I will.
Okay, motion from Commissioner Holmes. Do I have a second?
I'll second this one.
Second from Commissioner Wilkinson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any corrections for the December 17th, 2024 beer board meeting? Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Motion from Vice Mayor Berry and a second.
I'll second.
Second from Commissioner Wilkinson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Move on to my mayor's report. Welcome to our first meeting of 2025. Did you all know that Red Bank incorporated 70 years ago in 1955? It's going to be a very big and exciting year for our city. In honor of MLK Day yesterday, I'd like to share one of my favorite quotes from Dr. King. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. I'm grateful to be here with all of you as we work together to keep moving our city forward. And on that note, our annual MLK Day of Service cleanup event has been rescheduled to Saturday, February 8th at 10 a.m. We'll still meet at Be Caffeinated to get coffee, snacks, and supplies before heading out to our cleanup locations, and I hope to see you all there. There's one last Yoga Monday this month on January 27th at the Meeting House. You can bring your mat for class at 7 p.m. and pay what you can. A big thank you again to our Public Works crew who kept our roads cleared and safe during recent cold and snow weather events. I got lots of praising compliments from the public, so great job, team. And speaking of cold weather, Hamilton County schools will be closed tomorrow due to an appeal from TVA and EPB that the community voluntarily reduce power usage between 6 and 10 a.m. on Wednesday. If you are able to help at home or in the community by reducing your energy usage during those hours, our power grid will certainly appreciate it. Please join us at our next Northside Business Council meeting. In case you missed it, the Red Bank Chamber Council and the North Chattanooga Chamber Council have merged and will be serving both communities moving forward. We have chamber networking luncheon meetings the first Tuesday of every month from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Next month's meeting will be on February 4th, and we'll be hosting a speed networking event at the Business Development Center. So we hope to see you there. Thank you to everyone who participated in our Pumpkins for Pigs collection service. We diverted over 800 pounds of food waste from the landfill, which is a win-win for the animals and for our taxpayers. And finally, I hope to see all of you at our final plan open house on January 28th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. to collect feedback on our comprehensive and small area study plans ahead of adoption in February. We'll be meeting at the Red Bank Community Center to hear about recommendations and implementation steps for the comprehensive plan and to collect final public input on the vision for the former Red Bank Middle School site. Be sure to share with your neighbors so we can hear from as many of you as possible next Tuesday. And now we have our Vice Mayor's report.
I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone. This is our first meeting of 2025. Another shout out to Public Works. They can't get enough kudos. And just a reminder, the next Red Bank Community Food Pantry won't be until several Thursdays from now, February 6th from 4:30 to 6 p.m. So keep an eye out for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. We have Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey's report.
Thank you. Welcome to 2025. Hope you keep warm and a trickle of water dripping in your sink with these freezing temperatures. As a member of the Festival Committee and Commissioner, our Red Bank Christmas Festival and Jubilee Committee is in planning mode for the Jubilee that will be in May. More information is forthcoming as those plans proceed. Link Sparks has organized Valentine's for Veterans again. This has been going on now for decades, which began as a Tennessee state standard in English to write a thank you letter. And the students wrote to the Red Bank High School ROTC instructors. And from there, she then moved into the world of veterans. I attended last Saturday with many community friends to create Valentine's. And the next session will be this Saturday at the Community Center from 11 to 2. So come and join residents and friends to create these meaningful Valentines. For many men and women who have served our country, they not only reside locally, but more beyond the state and across the United States. From the Parks and Rec Department, a new program for active older adults is available on our community at our community center for the age group that's 55 years and older. Activities for January include chair yoga, guided exercise, card games, guest speakers, as our mayor will present, representative from Chattanooga Bluebird Society, and bingo on the last Thursday. And it says on the calendar 12 a.m., but I beg to differ. I think I don't know about that, but I think it's noon, which is 12 p.m. The next listen, do what?
So they are active.
I don't know many that age, which I am one, that will be up at midnight. You may be right. The next Listen and Learn will be Monday, February 17th at Sabor from 6 to 7. And our community development director possibly will be the guest speaker. Thank you.
Yes, she will.
She will.
Confirmed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next, we have our report from Commissioner Holmes.
And so Happy New Year, everyone. I hope we set goals and then do something every day to reach those goals. I'm a big goal setter, and that's what I've been doing the past couple of weeks. Also, thanks to Public Works for getting the snow. I did not go out, so I saw it online, but I stayed in. So, but thanks for removing the snow and keeping the streets safe. Also, thanks to first responders. I came upon an accident, and it seemed like that first responders were there and ready that morning and clearing out the road and getting everything together. So I really appreciate that. Again, the community meeting next Tuesday, January 28th at 6 p.m. at the community center to get feedback on our current plans and studies. Also, help your neighbors with technology. A lot of things are going toward technology, including the active older adults signups and whatnot. And a lot of people don't know about it. I text someone about it and they like, well, we didn't know about it. So I let her know it is happening and how to get online, but a lot of people are afraid of being online. So Instagram and Facebook and our website are good ways to know what's going on. So I encourage those neighbors to check it out. Also, I noticed that the caravan during campaigning, the people asked about the caravan in Carter. And so there were 54 rides last month, and we hope to keep that going. So people do use that service. And then check out the active older adult activities that are taking place that were already mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And finally, our report from Commissioner Wilkinson.
Okay, so bear with me here. This was a last minute request from our Parks Director, Jeffrey Graby. He has asked me to make an announcement and say that Rec Desk, as in Recreation Desk, is live via the Parks and Rec website, presumably on the city's website. You can sign up there for programming, events, and classes. And this includes the active older adults programming that we've talked so much about, yoga, Tai Chi, art, etc. And you can also sign up there for the MLK Cleanup Makeup Day, which is
February
thank you, at some point in the near future.
8th.
That's all I've got. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next, we have the city manager's report. Mr. Granum.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'd like to share with you a memo I received from the Tennessee Violent Crimes Intervention Fund, or VCIF, Program Manager. It reads in part, Dear Mr. Granum, staff from the Tennessee Office of Criminal Justice Programs recently conducted a desk review of the City of Red Bank's administration of the VCIF grant. The monitoring review was conducted in accordance with state grant management and subrecipient monitoring policy and procedures with the following objectives. Verify that the VCIF program objectives are being met. Test the reliability of programmatic reporting. Test if services and activities are allowable and eligible. Verify contractual compliance. The desk review concluded there, quote, were no findings of non-compliance identified during the monitoring review, unquote. That's auditor speak for you done good. And you'll hear that again later on tonight. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. So thank you, Chief Seymour, Detective Kyle Dennis, who's frequently out front, and the entire Red Bank Police Department for their excellence in administering that grant. And as you know, that is focused a lot on domestic violence, DV issues. So very, very important work there, and we appreciate the support from the state. I want to express my gratitude to Public Works team who stepped up and met the challenge from the Friday 10 January snow event and its enduring impact on the city. What may be less appreciated is the Herculean effort after the storm to pick up all the sand we applied. A task made possible by our street sweeper and dedicated stormwater crew of Davis, Derek, and Brian. Thank you for your excellent work. Our streets look great. And if you drive down Dayton Boulevard and can't quite figure out why it looks really good, it's because it's been recently swept. As you might guess, when storms hit, needs arise that are out of the norm. One such example was a resident on Linda Drive, and as you know, it's very steep, who needed transport to the hospital during the snowstorm, but EMS could not get to the house. So Public Works responded with salt and got EMS as close as possible. Then Red Bank Fire Department put together a rope system, placed the resident on a backboard, and slid them down to the ambulance for transport to the hospital. Thank you, Public Works, and thank you, Red Bank Fire Department. Staff recently hosted Representative Michelle Renault for an orientation to the city of Red Bank, and several of us spent a most enjoyable hour with her. We shared our organizational structure and discussed the municipal services we provide. Subsequently, her committee assignments have been announced, and it's my hope that she reaches out to staff if there is any way we can help her in her first term as our representative. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Granum, and thank you to our fire department for that excellent service that we didn't know that we would need to provide potentially. So that's fantastic news. All right, moving on to our first Well, item of business, our temporary adjournment of our regular meeting so that we can call the beer board meeting to order. Ms. Perry, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Stephanie Dalton,
Here.
Vice Mayor Holly Berry,
Here.
Commissioner Jamie Fairbanks Harvey,
Here.
Commissioner Terry Holmes,
Here.
Commissioner Wilkinson.
Thank you. This is for Walgreens off-premise application by Cindy Jensen for a beer permit at the 4039 Dayton Boulevard location due to change in management. Ms. Jensen, I presume if you. Jensen, okay. Will you please come up to the podium? Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Have you read and understood our beer ordinances and agree to comply
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
all therein? Thank you. Is there anything that you would like to add or anything else we need to know about?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I'll do anything y'all need me to do.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions of the applicant? No? All right. Can I have a seat? Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Ms. Jensen. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Okay. I have a motion from Commissioner Wilkinson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second from Vice Mayor Barry. Any further discussion? Any comments from the residents present?
Nope. Crickets chirping.
Okay, yes, some crickets chirping. If there's no more discussion, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Jensen. And we will now adjourn our beer board meeting and reconvene our regular meeting. The first item of business is unfinished business, ordinance number 24-1270, an ordinance of the city of Red Bank, Tennessee to amend Red Bank Municipal Code Title I, Chapter 1, Section 1-104, known as Order of Business, by adding a provision for consent agenda as an item in the regular order of business. Second and final reading. Mr. Granum.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. We're totally jazzed about this. It's bringing a best practice for public meetings to Red Bank, and it's not going to be a huge thing, but it has the potential of saving 5 or 10 minutes each evening, and across multiple terms of service on the commission. That adds up. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move.
A motion by Vice Mayor Barry. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Commissioner Holmes. Any further discussion?
Does this mean that our next meeting our first meeting in February on the 4th we might see a consent agenda at that time if this is approved?
It does, Vice Mayor. I'm turning to City Recorder Perry. Yes, we intend to use it as often as we appropriately can.
Excellent.
I fully intend to initiate it the next meeting.
Okay. Most wonderful. Thank you. Commissioner Fairbanks, sorry.
I just wanted to make sure I was clear on when we get the agenda, but if there's a question or comment or need for discussion, one of us could say, I need info here, and it would then be to number 10 for
Yes.
new
That's
business.
correct.
Off the consent agenda, move it back to the regular agenda and proceed like normal.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any comments from the residents present? If there are no more comments, Ms. Perry, can you please call the vote?
Sorry, Mayor Dalton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Barry,
Yes.
Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey,
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkinson.
Yes.
Motion carries on second and final reading, and we may get to see a consent agenda at our next meeting. Thank you. Now on to new business. Item A, agenda item number 25-881, fiscal 2024 audit presentation by Brian Wright of Johnson, Murphy and Wright. Ms. Perry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The city of Red Bank engages yearly with an independent CPA firm to conduct an audit of the city's finances. With us to present the 2024 audit report is Brian Wright, a partner with Johnson Murphy and Wright CPAs.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Wright.
Greetings.
Yes. Welcome back again.
It's really great to be here. I don't know, do y'all all have one of these big green things?
Mhm. Yes, sir.
If you could, let's turn over to page 22. Be a very fine place to start. Slippery paper. This is your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances for the governmental funds, which is made up of the general fund, as you can see that first fund, and other governmental funds, which there's more detail I'll show you in a minute, which is made up of the State Street Aid, solid waste, drug, and impact funds. But we look at the general fund, you can see, come down, we had total revenues of 12.6 million. Had total expenditures of 12.9 million. But we also picked up some proceeds from debt issuance of 655,000. So it wound up with the general fund having a net income of $336,098, which is actually not only is it positive, but it's about $160,000 more than last year. So. And one good thing I always like to point out, especially, you think, it's the general fund of the city that covers most of our operations, like police and fire, and public works and parks, and we have a budget of $12.6 million, and they still wound up with a $300,000 profit. But in that, if you go up a few lines, you'll see a line that says capital outlay. We had a capital outlay of $3.3 million. And I always like to look at that line because that's, the city operated, we just about broke even, made a little profit, but still we put $3 million that's going back into the city services, to infrastructure, fire and police, about $800,000 that's fire and police, public works and signalization was about $1 million. We put another $1 million that was needed into drainage improvements. And we put $200,000 into the parks. We got to keep those pickleball courts going. That's what everybody loves here in town.
You're right, if we don't.
You'll hear about it, something wrong with it. But anyway, just to say that, the city's general fund, which is the main fund, is very healthy. We made a little profit, but we still put $3 million back into improvements for the citizens to make the city better. If you'll turn now to our other governmental funds, that column is on page 64. We'll give you a breakdown on that column. So on page 64, we have a breakdown of what we had just over here, the other governmental funds, which was the State Street Aid Fund, Solid Waste Fund, Drug Fund, and Impound. The State Street Aid Fund had revenues of $492,000, total expenditures of $681,000. So we had a net loss in that fund of $188,000. But you kind of have to look at a State Street Aid Fund. We get most of that money from the state of Tennessee. That's the gas tax revenue. So, we're kind of custodians of that money, and we have to use every bit of that money for state improvements. And y'all know what we're trying for. One time, mainly street expenses. So once again, even though the fund lost $108,000, that capital outlay line, you see, we spent $400,000, and that was for the new street sweepers you were talking about just a minute ago, and for more traffic signalization. So we basically just spent money we had on hand. It says we lost $188,000, but we just I think you see the beginning fund balance in that fund is $750,000, and now it's 561. So we wound up, once again, investing in something we needed. The street sweeper definitely helped out this year with the snow and the sand cleaned up. The next fund, special revenue funds, is the solid waste. This is the garbage fund. Had revenues of $1 million and expenses of 1.1 million. So it partially broke even. It's still a $2,000 loss in that fund. The drug fund had revenues of 7,000, total expenditures of 52. But once again, that's fines that we collect, court fines and other revenues that are supposed to be spent specifically on drug interaction or interdiction. I don't know if I can say that word right. But anyway, so we spent $52,000 in that fund for DEA expenses and supplies, which was that line up there for public safety. So trying to help with the drug situations that help keep it out of the area. And last but not least, we have the impound fund, which made $5,000. And we didn't spend anything in there, so we put $5,000 in the bank to help with the impounded vehicles that we have. So basically, the four funds, you can see that even though together they lost that $300,000 in total, once again, most of that went back into helping out citizens in the town, feeds the town. I guess you just go, I think it's the last page. We can put a vote on this thing. It'll be the schedule of findings and questions, costs. The opinion that we issued on this report, like Martin was talking a minute ago, was pretty much, not pretty much, it was a clean opinion. It's called an unmodified opinion, which means we didn't find anything that would cause us to modify our opinion to say, except for this or except for that, but it's modified. So you see the next couple lines down, the internal control or financial reporting, we had no findings. Internal compliance, there was no findings. And then even more important, over federal rewards, because this was a single audit report this year. We had material weaknesses, no findings, and significant deficiencies, none reported. And a clean opinion on the major programs, the major federal programs. So basically, you got the best report you could get. And the town's main fund breaking even. And all the money we put into capital outlay, I think was a very good year. And I know you're just getting this report to look at. Well, I mean, you've had it for a little while. But everywhere the report kind of runs. In the front is very good on page 5. There's about 5 or 6 pages there with some charts and graphs that gives a very summarized highlights and graphs that kind of let you see more at a glance how the town did. But the farther you go back, the more detail it gets. So you can, any number that's in here, you can eventually drill down and see exactly what it was. And if you still can't find the numbers you need, you just got to pick up the phone, call me, or get Martin to call me or whatever, and we can tell you exactly what makes up all these numbers. But we just want to thank Martin and Ruthie and Chris and all their staff. They're a big help to us when we come out here to do the audit. They're good about giving us everything we need.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Do you have any questions? No. Appreciate you very much.
Thank you. Like I said, just give us a call if you need anything.
Okay.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item B, agenda item number 25-882. Tennessee General Assembly is back in session as of January 14, 2025. Mr. Graham, do we need?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just highlight that this is a best practice we've adopted as a city when we're requested by some of our other jurisdictions. In this case, it was Senator Watson. Sent us a memo and asked us if we wouldn't give some visibility in our official proceedings to the fact that the legislature is in session. So this is an appropriate way to do that. Just simply note it as an agenda item that this is taking place. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Granum. I'll also make note that there has been a special called session for January 27th for the Tennessee General Assembly to discuss vouchers, immigration policies, and hurricane relief. So if you're interested in that, that is when that will start. Moving on, are there any other comments or questions? Okay. Moving on to item C, agenda item number 25-883, reappoint Vice Mayor Berry as representative to the TPO. Mr. Granum.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder that the Transportation Planning Organization is a formally chartered public entity that is the gatekeeper for federal transportation dollars coming into the region, which constitutes the Chattanooga metropolitan area, some counties to the north of us in Tennessee, and some counties to the south of us in Georgia. And as a public meeting, it has to establish a quorum, and so members have to be appointed by name. And in this case, Vice Mayor Berry will be our formal representative to the executive body, the Transportation Planning Organization. Director Greg Tate, Public Works, will be our formal representative on the Transportation Coordination Committee, which is more of a worker bee level. And then I will be the alternate to both. And this memo, that's the agenda item, and we will communicate that to the Deputy Director, Karen Rank, down there at the RPA, who administers this program on behalf of the federal government and the transportation dollars.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you, Vice Mayor Berry, for agreeing to continue to serve in this role. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Moving on to item D, resolution number 25-1763, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Red Bank, Tennessee, accepting a proposed donation of newly purchased playground equipment from Hamilton County Parks and Recreation for the purpose of providing more diverse recreation at White Oak Park. Mr. Tate.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Graby allowed me to finish this up. And for those that are in attendance that may not have been here for the work session, this is simply the Hamilton County Parks and Recreation is donating a piece of playground equipment to accessorize our playground at White Oak Park. It will be lock and key. The city has nothing to do other than to accept the donation.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Hamilton County Parks and Recreation.
One quick question. I guess it's not really a question, but just to kind of get it out there, I was told that it's going to be engineered wood underneath it, mulch, and then that will at some point in the future be replaced by the same type of material that's under the playground currently. Correct?
Correct. This will actually set offside to the side of the existing playground.
Yeah.
But as our capital improvements program matures, we hope to use more pour in place at this location in the future, even Kids Corner going forward in the future.
I have a question.
Mr. Stoltz.
How near is it to the landfill cap?
It will not be the landfill cap at that particular place where it's going is about 4 to 5 feet deep. We had it checked before.
But it's over that.
It's over that.
And you or somebody's gonna make sure that nobody pokes anything through that. cap.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We had to do that when we put the new playground at White Oak Park, so we were very careful. And we even dug some test holes just to make sure.
Never needs to move out of the corporate memory about that landfill.
Exactly. Yes.
Thank you for asking that question, Mr. Stoltz. Since we wouldn't know to ask that, very appreciated. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move.
A motion from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second from Commissioner Wilkinson. Any further discussion? Any comments from the residents present? If there are no more comments, since there are no residents present, let's call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item E, resolution number 25-1764, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Red Bank, Tennessee to authorize an agreement between the City of Red Bank and the Financial Commission for Appalachia High Intensity Drug Trafficking Areas Program Grant totaling $19,000 for the Police Department. Chief Seymour.
Yes, so as we discussed kind of in the work session earlier, this is just to approve a grant, accept funds that helps pay for the overtime for our narcotics detective that helps work with the DEA. And I'm just so jazzed that we can continue our working relationship with the DEA between us and the Red Bank Police Department. So,
Yes.
any questions?
I just have a comment or sort of a question. Will this ever be resolved with high traffic drugs?
No.
I'm glad we have this. Totally. Very,
Well,
very appreciative.
You know,
It's
drugs
just
are
a-
drugs, right? And,
Right.
and as y'all have seen, things change, right? And you hear this drugs now, or, you know, meth's big in this area, cocaine's big in this area, and then you get fentanyl and all that. And it's just like with anything, technology and chemists and all that develop that, I think there will always be a problem. We just try to manage and control it as best we can, I guess.
So, and with that, Narcan is carried all the time.
Yes, but that doesn't work on all drugs, right? But
Right.
we do. And then there are some doses that where people can come into contact and Narcan's not enough, or where one dose used to be enough, we're having to use 2 or 3, or EMTs are. So,
Well, thank you for providing this service.
Yes. Grateful for the grant
yes,
to help offset
Yeah.
some of those costs.
absolutely.
Do I have a motion to approve?
This
A motion from Commissioner Wilkinson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Commissioner Holmes. Any further discussion? Okay. Since there are no residents present, let's call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item F, resolution number 25-1765, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Red Bank, Tennessee, authorizing the renewal of a 1-year contract for support of the city's agenda management platform through Software House International, SHI, for an amount of $16,807.45. Ms. Perry.
The agenda management system is how we look at the agendas now, how you're looking at it on your computers, and how I put it out there for the public to see. We had to purchase it through a third party to get the decent price on it, so that's why it's through SHI.
Okay.
And this is just for the annual renewal of the maintenance and upkeep for it.
Thank you. And we pay, as you mentioned in the work session, there's the other portion of Civic Plus that we pay for separately. Is that right?
Yes, we actually have Civic Engage, which does the website, Civic Clerk, which does the agenda management. There's
Plus, Gage.
there's something about the archive. I can't think what
And
it's
Archive
called.
Social.
Yeah, Archive Social.
Okay.
That helps us with records retention for all of our social media.
Okay. And those, we have separate annual fees for all of those. Okay.
And one reason this was more costly a little bit is because it includes unlimited storage. So all of our agendas that we do and the packets and all that, right? So all that is being stored there on their server. So that's also part of it. And then plus archiving, you know, previous and earlier meetings as they have been working on from what I understand. So,
Oh, okay.
so that's a lot of it. So instead of taking space in a filing cabinet or on our servers, we're just reverting basically that money somewhere else to help pay. And that's just part of the cost. So
Okay.
that's like probably a third of it. Then there's other parts of it.
Thank you, Chief. So are you all in the process of digitizing old meeting minutes and, you know, from all of those books that reside in your office?
Kind of.
Okay.
Everything is scanned in.
Okay.
It's all scanned in, but figuring out the platform to
Okay,
put them on for everybody to see we haven't done that yet.
I see. Will this go back to 1955?
Well, however long,
Yes.
however long they've been taking minutes, I have them scanned in.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Brandon?
Our court clerk, Alicia Donahue, is actually on point for the broader digitization, and we've started that process with the court.
Okay.
You know, the boxes, the dozens of boxes, in the building behind us.
Mhm.
And she's really on point to figure that out. And, so pray for her. Once we figure out the court with Alicia and Ally's work, then we're hoping to export that around the city. Public Works, the city recorder, community development, possibly police and fire. We'll figure that out. And we are doing all this mindful of the records retention statutes that apply.
Mhm.
So there is some document destruction that's a part of this as well.
Mhm.
And so Alicia will figure it out for us, and she's working in partnership with Tracy. Tracy in her city recorder hat is our, top administrator. So we're all working for Tracy when it comes to this digitization, document destruction, and long-term retention, or retention in accordance with a schedule.
Sure.
Not everything is permanent.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Graham. Do you have a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Motion from Vice Mayor Barry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Wilkinson. Is there any further discussion?
Just one quick comment. I met with Mr. Graham earlier today. We just talked through the agenda, but it was made, you always get sort of a sticker shock with softwares. It's like, why is it so expensive? But it was made eminently clear to me that this is extremely valuable for the city staff, Ms. Perry, and so I'm all for it.
This brought us into maybe the 21st century. Maybe, definitely the 20th century.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Commissioner. Since there are no residents present, let's call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item G, resolution number 25-1766, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Red Bank, Tennessee, to adopt a revised and updated social media participation and internet posting policy. Ms. Perry.
Yes, ma'am. This goes along with the device policy, electronic device policy that you guys approved a month or so ago. This is just the portion that relates to the actual posting with those devices, what you can and can't say, and the retention, and understand that it's public record no matter where you set it. It goes along with the records retention as well. Okay, so apparently he went over it with you in work session when I wasn't here.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move.
I'll take a motion from Commissioner Holmes, a second from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Nope. And since there are no residents present, I'll go ahead and call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And our final item of business, H, ordinance number 25-1271, an ordinance of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Red Bank, Tennessee, to repeal and replace regulations for mobile food vehicles and push cart vendors codified at Red Bank City Code Title 9, Chapter 15 et sec in the City of Red Bank, Tennessee. First reading. Director Johnson.
Thank you. As we discussed in work session, this is one of a multitude of efforts that our department and others in the city staff are reviewing city ordinances and regulations in conjunction with public feedback. So the ordinance before you tonight does repeal and replace the food truck ordinance as we currently have it. The date of it was back in 2018. So I think it's due time for a revision of that. I will just list some of the highlights that are significantly changing in this proposed ordinance. The first is removal of a distance requirement from other businesses, which was previously set at 250 feet. The current food truck ordinance does allow in commercial zones. This new amendment is adding light manufacturing zones. It also requires an initial application fee of $50. It establishes an annual permit fee, which is determined by the entity's business license requirements. An example of that is a business who is actually registered in the city of Red Bank, currently has a Red Bank business license. Their permit fee would be set at $50. Any other entity outside of the city of Red Bank would have a $150 permit fee. It also establishes the building official as the authority to review applications and issue permits, as well as to determine decimal levels if necessary with calibrated equipment. Previously, those duties were assigned to your city manager. This further establishes the Community Development Department as the overseeing authority instead of previously anchored within Public Works. Something before you tonight that was also discussed in work session. Additionally, it is my request that the 3 subsections of section 104-1B be deleted in their entirety, as it has been determined that it's outside the scope and the intent of this ordinance.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you mind repeating that? Because I'm going to review it a little bit more, but which section? I found it on the computer. Which section?
104, I have it written down here.
Oh, okay, thank you.
104B, numbers 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you'll find it on the bottom of page 4 in your ordinance, and then it rolls over into the top of page 5, which those I and I are proposed to be deleted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move to adopt ordinance number 25-1271 as presented, but to amend the ordinance by deleting the subsections 104B, 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, I have a motion to amend as stated by Vice Mayor Barry. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Commissioner Wilkinson. Is there any further discussion or questions?
I will provide you a corrected document at your next meeting.
Okay. I did have one question. This is more of a general question, but pertains to this. I don't know why this has just popped up in my head, but since we do have iWork now where they can apply electronically or digitally for the permit, is it also issued electronically? Like, is it emailed to them once it's approved?
It does. It becomes an electronic record.
Okay.
We also issue a paper copy for those that physically, because it's physically required
To
be
put it
on
up
there.
in
Yes,
the
to
food
be on
truck?
there. But yes, that whole internal system, they get notifications and they actually receive a copy of it as well.
Does it also notify them that, it's expiring? Hey, it's been a year, you need to reapply?
I don't have an answer to that
Okay.
question. but
Some,
that's
some
something we'll look
aspects
at.
of iWork, you can set reminders, I think
Okay.
maybe the code enforcement, I don't know about this piece of it, but there's potential there.
Okay, just curious because
Yeah.
They have to renew it yearly, so-
Keeps running lists, so that
Okay.
way when things are coming up,
Okay.
he does reach out to them.
Okay,
I'm not sure that they receive it automatically in the
Okay.
system, but
Okay.
if it can be tuned that way, we would be happy to add it.
any other questions or comments?
I think I had a question about the decibel. When there's like the Jubilee or even both, the 2 big events in Red Bank, and there's multiple food trucks there, are they separated so the noise is decreased, or is that?
Twofold.
Okay.
Number one, we verify that the actual portable device they're using maintains those decibels.
Okay.
And then strategically located. I do know that Jeffrey and staff during setup, they do take that into consideration. It may not be a perfect scenario, but they do try to situate them to where you don't have, 4 generators there together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because being on the festival committee and saying, okay, we're using UNACO for 8 food trucks, it had not crossed my mind about the sound until this moment. So, okay, thank you.
All right. Since any other comments, Since there are no residents, oh,
Well
sorry, Vice
then,
Mayor.
to our community development department for this food truck ordinance, I know, and our legal counsel. I know this one was kind of a heavy lift and has been in the works for a while. So thank you for bringing this one to the finish line.
Yes, and I will just add, we have a couple of more that we are working our way through. But I think the deeper we go, some of these ordinances are pretty significant. So when we start making changes, I personally don't take it lightheartedly. The city attorney and I do sit down and we do a page turner. Just because something got on the books X amount of years ago doesn't mean that it needs to stay, or it may need to be strengthened. So we do try to do a thorough review before we bring something back in a piecemeal fashion. That's not how we try to operate.
Right. We appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. All right. Since there are no residents present, Ms. Perry, can you please call the vote?
Mayor Dalton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Barry,
Yes.
Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey,
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkinson.
Yes.
Motion carries on first reading. And now is the time, well, for citizen comments from Red Bank citizens on items not on the agenda. However, we have no residents present.
Guess it wasn't anybody's New Year's resolution to attend our meetings.
It's just too cold.
It is really cold.
Look at it here.
Can Mr. Stoltz, can we move toward adjournment now? Okay.
Maybe there's somebody standing outside.
Okay. Anybody out
You answer
there?
the question.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
I have a motion from Commissioner Wilkinson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.
Hope everybody's staying warm at home.
That got weird. I literally don't know that we've ever had a meeting where no